Today I'm going to talk about how to solve a more difficult quadratic equation. We can see here that we've got a 5 in front of the x squared, and that makes it much more difficult. But happily, there is a method that we're going to use called the AC method. Okay, if we remember that we can write a quadratic equation in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, we can see that the a is the number multiplying the x squared. The b is the number multiplying the x, the middle term, and the c is the final term, the numerical, just the numeric term on its own. Now, when we do this, if we're doing it by factorisation, we're attempting to put the quadratic into two brackets. So we're attempting to factorise it and then still make it equal to 0. The AC method makes it easier to find the values that do go into this bracket. What we do, we take the first term, the A term, which is 5, and we take the final term, which is the C term, which is -8 in this case. And from them, we find a product, so we multiply them together. And we can see here, if we multiply them together, we get 5 times -8 is -40. And we also get a sum, and the sum in this case is actually the middle term, so the sum is the b. So in this case, it's -3. And what we're hoping to do is think of two numbers which have a product, which is -40, and have a sum, which is -3. It can still take a bit of mental gymnastics to get these numbers, but this does make it a lot easier. So two numbers which would multiply to make -40 and which would add to make -3 are actually -8 and +5, because we can see that -8 times 5 gives us -40, and also -8 plus 5 would give us -3. And what we do, we split up this middle term here, which is the b value, into these two numbers. So I'm going to rewrite this quadratic, but I'm going to separate the middle number. So it should all come clear when I actually do it. So we've got 5x squared, that stays the same. And then we split this number up into these two here. I'm going to put the 5 first, so we've got 5x, and then we've got -8x minus 8 equals 0. And what we do, there's a convention, which is you sort of draw a wiggly line there to split this equation into two halves. But if we look at what we've done, this -3x is actually +5x take away 8x. So we've written the same equation, we've just split up the middle number. Then what we do, we factorise the first half of the equation. So we're looking for a common factor in 5x squared plus 5x. And as you can see that we've got 5x is actually in both parts. We can write that at the front of a bracket, and then inside the bracket we need to have x plus 1. If we repeat the process for the second half, we can see we've got a -8, which is the common factor. So we can write that at the front and open up a bracket. And inside that bracket, we'd have to have x plus 1. So we factorise the first half of the equation, and also we factorise the second half of the equation. Now what we do, we actually repeat that process. We factorise the equation as a whole, and we can see we've got an x plus 1 in both parts. So we can actually take that out to the front. X plus 1. Oh, my pen's gone a bit funny there. Let's try that again. X plus 1. And then open up a second bracket. And now this second bracket is going to have the front of the two halves of the equation on this line. So it's going to have 5x and then -8. There we go. It's actually factorised now. So what we've done, we've taken the original equation there, 5x squared minus 3x minus 8, and we factorise it into two brackets. So that's still equal to 0. Now, as you'll know from doing simpler quadratic equations, the principle is you factorise it and make it equal to 0, because the only way that two brackets could multiply together to make 0 as the answer is if either the first bracket is equal to 0 or the second bracket is equal to 0. Now, if the first bracket is equal to 0, that means x plus 1 equals 0, and that would mean that x is equal to negative 1. Or the alternative is that the second bracket is equal to 0, and that would mean 5x minus 8 equals 0. And we've got a little mini linear equation here we can solve. We can add 8 to both sides, plus 8. And so we can see we end up with 5x equals 8. And then if we divide both sides of this equation by 5, we end up with x is equal to 8 over 5. And we've done it. We've solved it. So we can see that the solutions to 5x squared minus 3x minus 8 equals 0 are x equals minus 1 and x equals 8 over 5.